While abortion continues to be a controversial topic here in the United States, there are many other countries that have even more restrictive laws and are even considering additional bans on abortion and whether or not women can choose what to do with their bodies. Now, Poland is a perfect example of that. Right-wing politicians in Poland were responding to a petition calling on an all-out ban on abortion. And that would include individuals who are looking to get an abortion in cases of rape, incest, and when the mother's life is at risk. Now, interestingly enough, women did not take too kindly to the proposals and as a result participated in massive protests on Monday. They were referred to as the Black Monday protests, where all these women who participated were wearing black clothing. They didn't go to work, they didn't go to school. All they did was go to the streets holding signs, demanding that they have the ability to make the choice. Now, also understand that in Poland, abortion is still pretty difficult to get. A lot of women travel to Germany in order to get it, and that's because you can't get an abortion unless you're the victim of rape or incest, or if the fetus is severely deformed, or if the mother's health is in danger, right? But under the new proposals, they would have done away with all abortion, regardless of what type of pregnancy you're dealing with. So what I love about this is, as many as 40,000 women took to the streets. Companies had to shut down that day because they didn't have enough employees. And then finally, the politicians in office were like, okay, fine. We won't mess with your abortion rights. Okay. I love it.
Yeah. Man, it doesn't get stronger than when a politician says they have caused us to think and taught us humility.
Oof.
Damn.
Love it.
So, look, this is the exact kind of thing that we look forward to at the Young Turks. Civil disobedience, protests, people power, and don't underestimate its strength. Because here in America, the mainstream media is set to protect the establishment. They are the establishment. They are run by companies that are multi-billion-dollar companies. They don't want you in the streets. When you got a couple of $1 billion, you don't want anybody in the streets. So anytime anybody's in the streets, they snicker, like, oh, was there a protest? As if they covered it all, right? Mm-hmm. Part of the reason is because they don't want you to do this. And you know, not only did it move the government, which is great, and shows you the power that it had, but it also moved popular opinion in Poland, which I actually found to be even more encouraging. So not only is popular opinion now say, oh, no, we should definitely allow abortion in case of rape, incest, etc., but they now are beginning to swing and think maybe abortion should be legal, period. Mm-hmm. Look at the power of people if you just organize and you take action.
And it's interesting to see something very similar happening to other countries as it's happening here in the United States as well. So you have certain states in the U.S., red states specifically, that continuously pass these very restrictive abortion laws. And then what does that typically do? Well, women who come from either a higher middle class or are in a better socioeconomic situation are able to travel to a different state and get their abortion. And so they don't necessarily have to deal with the consequences of right-wing policy. But then the people who are the poorest, the people who can't afford to have kids the most, are the ones that suffer under these restrictive laws. They're the ones that are forced to have a child that they simply can't care for. And then they'll also have the same right-wing government turn around and tell them, no government programs for you. We don't want to help you feed your kid. We don't want to help you take care of your kid. We just want to force you to have your kid. And in Poland, you know, the wealthier individuals are able to travel to Germany or travel wherever they need to in order to get their abortion.
Yeah, now it's not all good news. They're thinking of striking a compromise where they say, okay, fine, if you've been raped, we'll let you have an abortion, incest, if your life is in danger. But if your kid's got, if not your kid, because he or she's not at all born, right? If your fetus has Down syndrome, or we think will have Down syndrome when it's born, well, then you still can't abort it, which right now in Poland, you can't. And so they're thinking of at least making abortion more restrictive anyway, but that's their idea of compromise. One, they still won on most of the issues. Two, we don't know if that's the compromise that's really going to, carry the day at the end of the day, and we haven't gotten there yet. But do I agree with that? Of course I don't, because it's not your decision to make. Mm-hmm. So what a weird thing to say, my morality dictates that you carry that fetus to term for another 8 months, and then you take care of that kid the rest of your life. Why? Because that's what my morality says. Well, then you do that.
Yeah, you live your life the way that you see fit, but don't allow your religious beliefs, your morals to dictate the lives of someone else. I have no problem with the vast majority of religious people, right? And I'm not talking about fundamentalists, I'm talking about moderate religious people. The only time I ever have a problem with them is when they start judging others, when they start telling you that you're living your life wrong and that you need to live in a certain way. How about you do you and I'll do me, okay?
Yeah. And some of the slogans here were, we want doctors, not missionaries. My uterus, my opinion. And it's that simple. So if you are a Muslim and you don't believe in drawing the Prophet Muhammad, great, then don't draw. Okay, and when someone else draws him, he's not in your religion, so that is irrelevant to you, and it should be irrelevant to him what your morality says about what you should and shouldn't draw. If you're a Catholic or you're, for whatever other evangelical Christian, and you think you shouldn't have an abortion, great. That's why we're pro-choice. Then don't have the abortion. I'm not mandating you have one. You have the choice not to have one. You want to have 12 kids with Down syndrome? I would actually think you're a great person. And I would try to help you in every way. I would, in that sense, encourage it. Because what a wonderful, open person. And I think you are right that those kids wind up being terrific human beings and so much love, etc. That's wonderful. That's your choice to make. Okay, but you don't get to make that choice for other people.
It's always amazing to me because it's the same people who keep arguing in favor of small government, but then they want to regulate the most personal aspects of your life, including how you have sex, when you have sex, are you going to take it up the butt? Like, just mind your own business, right? Mind your own business.
At the Young Turks, we believe in change. We believe we can change the media, make it more independent. Come do it with us. tytnetwork.com/join.